Alright people, what's happening? Welcome back to another episode of the F1 2021 My Team series here on the channel. If you are new to the channel, people, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit like on the video as well if you haven't already, which you probably haven't because the video is only 3 seconds in, something like that. But anyway, we are back today with the Mexican Grand Prix. Hopefully we can have a good one. If you do remember last season, there was a lot of grid penalties in Mexico. We ended up P2 on the starting grid with Carlos Sainz in P1 due to all those grid penalties, so maybe we'll see the same thing again today. In this race, we'll have to wait and see. There is obviously only a few races left in our season now, boys, because we did do a 16 race season for season 3. You can see on the screen right now, there's only 4 points separating me, Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez battling for that P3 spot in the Drivers' Championship. Michael Schumacher 11 points behind Max Verstappen in P1 with 3 races to go. It's still all to play for in the Drivers' and the Constructors' Championship as it stands, but we need a good race here from me and Michael. Michael is not at the best results as of late, and we really haven't had that good of results either. But we need to pull something out the bag. 3 races left. We have Mexico, we have Brazil, we have Saudi Arabia. Let's get into qualifying here in Mexico. If you do not know, I am now currently using a wheel and pedals to drive on this game now. I have got rid of the controller. I was using controller for the first 2.5 seasons. It was only 2 races ago actually or 3 races ago that we did switch to wheel and pedals in Monza. If you haven't seen that, I'd recommend going back to watch the Monza race and watch every race from them. I'd actually recommend going back to season 1 and starting from there if you have missed any race, you know. I mean, keep up with the series. That's the best way to stay entertained by the series, is to know what's going on. So if you haven't been watching from season 1, I would suggest you should have been doing that. But we are getting to season 4 very soon. Let's finish out season 3 in a good way though. Speaking of in a good way, we've gone very slow through that corner there. I found it very tricky, I can't lie, in Mexico to start off with, especially through this section coming up now, the Fast X section, S section, not X, I should say. But boys, we're in quali and Dan Ticktum is out of the session. This is Nikita Mazepin. He's just crossed the line, coming down the home straight, and Mazepin swerving at the wheel. And there's Dan Ticktum going very slow in the middle of the track. And Dan Ticktum, I think he's got an engine failure in qualifying. So Dan Ticktum's going to be out of the qualifying session. That is mad. I don't know if we've seen that before. But yeah, back to our lap anyway. Very, very bizarre incident to see in qualifying. But yeah, Dan Ticktum, hopefully that car gets out the way and it doesn't mess up our lap. Because we'll obviously have to slow down through yellow flags if it was double waved yellows. But anyway, yeah, the yellow flags are gone anyway, so that doesn't matter. Sergio Perez sets the fastest lap of the session with a 1:12.9, and we are going to cross the line with a 1:14.2. So that is not good enough. 1.3 seconds behind Sergio Perez. Can we go again? We can. 7 seconds left in the session as we cross the line there to start our lap. We're currently in P11. Obviously, the top 16 get through to Q2 here on my team. Obviously, with it being one extra team compared to real life. But anyway, coming through sector 1 now, completely cut the corner there and invalidate our lap time and then go into the wall and damage our front wing. So we're not actually going to be able to set another lap. That's going to be the end of the session. Michael Schumacher went second fastest at the end of the session there. But yeah, back to Q2 now, boys. We set a lap here, a 1:15 flat, which put us in P14. That was on the medium tyres. I tried to qualify on the mediums. Didn't work out. We go again on the softs. And we're going to cross the line a lot faster than that medium tyre run. That puts us up into P6. Still not good enough, in my opinion. Obviously, you need the top 10, or the top 10 goes through in Q3, or in Q2, sorry, to Q3. And I actually used for that lap then, boys, an old set of soft tyres, then realised if we make it through to Q3, I'd have to start the race on those tyres. So I went and picked up a brand new fresh set of soft tyres, which you can see us on the car now. And we nailed sector 1 very nicely indeed. 2 tenths up as we head down the DRS zone. And I believe that is going to be a purple sector 1, which it is indeed. Braking at the 100-metre board, trail brake into the apex so we can get some nice rotations to the left, because we've got to bring it back to the right. And then a double apex here, trying to carry as much speed through that second apex. Bouncing off the curb a little, losing a bit of time, but we are still up in the delta by a tenth. Going through the S section now, can we nail it? Can we have a good section? It's make or break. On this lap here, we're down to P10. We could be out of the qualifying session if we do not get sector 2 and 3 right. We are 4 tenths up. We've nailed sector 2 compared to our previous laps anyway. Now down into sector 3, boys. What can we do? Can we have a good sector 3? Get some nice rotation through the hairpin there. Bouncing over the sausage curb. One final corner, a bit slow, but it is going to be 6/10 quicker as we cross the line, 7/10 quicker nearly. Let's see where that puts us in Q2. Did we make it through to Q3? We sure did. In P6, Michael Schumacher even slower than us by 5/10. Lando Norris, the only man making it through to Q3 on medium tyres. So Lando Norris, of course, will start the race on medium tyres. Now getting into Q3, we've set a banker lap, which has put us P8. That is not going to be good enough. I want to set a faster lap than that. That's a 1:13.2 we've set at the moment. Hopefully we can get that closer to the 129s or not 129s. I don't know why we never want to go 16 seconds slower. I meant to say the 109s, but is that even possible? I don't even know. Let's find out. Nail sector 1 there again. Take no curb on the first and third curb, but take all of the curb on the second curb. That is how you nail sector 1 in Mexico. Braking just after the 100-meter board. Again, trail braking to bring it to the left so we can swing it to the right. A bit slow. There we go, wide off the track, as you can see. Don't get a track limit warning though, which I thought was track limits there, but I guess not. And then down into the S section again. Very difficult to do. Even on wheel and pedals, it's still a very difficult section to drive. Just I was losing the back end so much. Tried a lot of different setups in practice, and nothing seemed to stick, bro, for this section right here. And then, as you can see, I went slow through one of the weaves, and we went down in the delta. So it's going to be a red sector 2 after a purple sector 1, which is unfortunate. We were flying after the sector 1. Coming through sector 3 now, we're back into the green. It's only ever so slightly. Coming around the final corner, getting on the throttle. We're going to be 1/10 quicker, or less than that actually. It's actually 600ths quicker than our previous lap. Let's see if that's made any sort of difference to the final grid order. It hasn't. We stay P8. Michael Schumacher though on the front row in P2. Max Verstappen just behind him. Excuse me, Lando Norris on provisional pole as it stands, and yeah, good result for Michael to be on the front row. Hopefully Michael can have a good race. Like I say, we need some points for the team and for him to beat Max in the Drivers' Championship. Let's get to the race and find out if he can do it.
Welcome along to the most populous city in North America, and home now to the Mexico City Grand Prix. It's a sellout crowd as usual here at one of the shortest circuits on the Formula One calendar. So who, I wonder, will the crowd cheer on today to the top step of the podium? We're a long way above sea level here in Mexico today, which could pose some cooling issues for the cars as they make their way around this 2.6-mile lap. 17 corners with top speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour, and watch out for potential overtaking into turns 1 and 4. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of turn 1. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
Well, the throttle goes both ways, Crofty. You've got to have the discipline not to try and win the race on the first lap. So always be prepared to lift early and give those around you more space. Trying to be the last of the late breakers with half a dozen cars around you may pay off from time to time, but it's also a great way to lose your front wing.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday and will start from pole position, and it's Michael Schumacher alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Bottas, Lewis Hamilton, the owner driver, Perez. They've taken a grid penalty. Leclerc, Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon, Russell, Ricciardo, Lance Stroll and Giovinazzi. Sainz, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Latifi, Pierre Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda. Vettel, Mick Schumacher, Mazepin and Daniel Ticktum. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Only 3 races left. You still have a chance at the title, but we're going to need some special performances. See what you can do.
So Jeff just letting us know that it's actually not mathematically impossible for us to win the title here, but is it likely? No, I think we need to win every race with fastest lap and Max Verstappen to dump every race and Michael Schumacher to do the same. But it is lights out and away we go here in Mexico, and we get off to a great start right off the line in phase 1 of the start. But the second phase of the start, we seem to be dropping it back a bit, especially to Lewis Hamilton on our left hand side. Somebody's coming on our right hand side as well. It's one of the Ferraris, I think. We are sandwiched going into turn 1. Leclerc sends it up the inside of Bottas and of Lando Norris. I think there might have been a bit of contact there with the McLaren and the Ferrari, but coming through the first little section there, we managed to stay ahead of Lewis Hamilton in that Mercedes car. We have Valtteri Bottas in front of us. I think there was a bit of contact as well from Lewis Hamilton into our side pod, but I'm not too sure. And we're going to go round the outside of Valtteri Bottas. Almost made contact with the back of Bottas there, but we're going to go round the outside. Can we go too wide through here? We sure can. Leclerc up into P3. Lando Norris lost a few places from that pole position that he did have at the start. Max Verstappen up into P1. Don't know how he's got there. Michael Schumacher in P2 at the minute. Lando on those softer medium tyres, so obviously we did have a better start, or everyone else around Lando had a better start than him, because he was on those harder tyres on the medium compound, and we send it up the inside of Lando there, go a bit wide on the exit, but we managed to overtake Lando Norris coming through sector 3, and he has the two Ferraris behind, or two Mercedes behind him now, I should say. The Ferrari of Charles Leclerc in front, but there's a purple car into the pits, boys. That's Michael Schumacher into the pits at the end of lap 1. What is that about? Michael Schumacher's pit on lap 1 must have picked up damage. Here's a replay of the start for Michael, as you can see, in that P2 position. Gets also a better start than Lando Norris. He's up into P1, heading down into turn 1. It's a long run down into turn 1 here in Mexico, and obviously Max Verstappen gets in the slipstream there. But heading through turn 1, Michael is ahead. He's in that P1 position, coming through the little left. There goes Max Verstappen up the inside. Verstappen takes the lead from Michael as they head down the straight now, or the little bit of a straight. It's actually not that long before we get into the next braking zone, but it looks like there was no contact between Michael and Max, or between Michael and anyone. You know, he was on P2 on the front row, and down to turn 1 he was in front, so I don't know where any sort of damage he could have picked up. This is the end of the lap now, and we'll see as he gets into the pit. You see just how slow he's going compared to Max Verstappen. He's falling behind Max. You can hardly even see Max on the camera. Then he dives into the pits, and let's check this out. I go to his front wing, and as you can see, boys, the front wing is perfectly fine, or at least it looks it. I don't know if there's some damage that he's picked up that is like you just can't see it like visually, but it's actually caused damage, because as he pulls into the pit box, you see they changed the front wing, and I just don't understand. They've put medium tyres on, and there's the crotch camera again. It's been a while since we've seen crotch camera, but there we go. And then so he puts the new front wing on. It looks exactly the same as the other front wing, because there was no damage to it. And if you remember in season 2, boys, Nico Rosberg did a similar thing in one of the races. He pit even though there was no damage to his front wing, or no visual damage at least. So I was like, what is going on here? I don't know if that's a glitch in the game Codemasters need to sort out, or if that's just like I say, they've picked up damage but it's not visual. Who knows? Anyway, Michael gonna have to fight his way back if he wants a result here. Obviously you can't even see him. I was going to say what position he's in, but you can't even see him. He's down in P22 or 21. The leaderboard on the left only shows the top 20 cars, but we are chasing down this Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, who is 2.8 seconds behind Max Verstappen, who you can see is running away with it. Hopefully Max doesn't get the win here. I think if Max wins, he wins the title, so that would not be what we like to see. Like I say, I want Michael to win the title. That's what we signed him for, to win the Drivers' Championship and win the Constructors with Michael, but we'll have to wait and see if he can do that. And we are right on the gearbox of Charles Leclerc, almost heading through sector 3. The Ferrari, not the best car for the end of the season. They've had some good performances in quali, but in terms of race pace, the Ferrari seems to be off. You know, we have the same engine as Ferrari, and it's not the best engine on the grid by any means. You know, the Honda and the Red Bull, the Honda power unit and the Mercedes power unit are definitely a lot better. You can see that from the McLaren performance towards the end of this season. But down into turn 1 on lap 3, DRS is now activated, but we don't actually get DRS on that lap. So heading through the sector 1 now, you can see we are right up close to Charles Leclerc, putting the battery on in the slipstream. Can we make a move on Leclerc? Down into the braking point. Like I said before, it's a very short run down into the braking point. Can we go later on the brakes around the outside? Leclerc is going to be ahead, and he comes across, and we have to brake there so we don't go straight into the side of him, because he definitely wouldn't have left us space through that corner there. But we set a purple sector 1. It's promising, you know. We definitely do have pace in the race here, which was my biggest worry actually when I was practicing in P1. I didn't think I'd have any pace in the race. If you haven't seen last time out in USA, that was our biggest problem. We nailed one of the qualifying laps in Q2, but our race pace just wasn't good enough. And coming through sector 1 again, we can't make a pass on Leclerc, even with DRS activated at the end of, or at the start of lap 4, I should say. And then obviously we go slow through sector 1, which messes us up on the next DRS run down into the next braking zone, where we don't manage to pass Leclerc again. Max Verstappen 5 seconds ahead now, seems to be running away with this race. But boys, as you know from my series, anything can happen in these races here, so never fear. I'm sure Max might not be there by the end of the race. You'll have to wait and find out in the next 15 minutes or however long's left in the video. But coming through sector 3 now, we are right up close to Charles Leclerc. Surely this is going to be the time we do pass him. Valtteri Bottas trying to close the gap to us. He's still 1.1 seconds behind us, so Valtteri behind does not get DRS on us, which allows us to just fully focus on getting Charles Leclerc. There we go, the DRS wing is open down into turn 1 now. We're in the slipstream, a massive straight here in Mexico. Almost impossible to defend if you're going to get overtaken. And actually hit the brakes 50 meters early there. I got completely baited by the racing line, which is why I probably shouldn't use the racing line, but the racing line just helps me in certain situations when I get a bit messy into a corner, or especially when it's raining. I definitely need the racing line for that. Up the inside here, late on the brakes. Can we go later than Charles Leclerc? It is wheel to wheel. We're going to do the same overtake we did to Valtteri Bottas. Round the outside there, and we are ahead of Charles Leclerc. A bit sloppy from me, if you ask me, but we are ahead, and overtake is an overtake. And there's no damage, so you can't really complain. Here's a replay of that move up the inside there, and then coming through. It's very like chicane. Is that a word? Chicane in Mexico. It feels like there's a lot of like left, right, left, or if you turn one way, then you're going the other way straight away. But yeah, so we're up into P2, 5.9 seconds now. The gap to Max Verstappen in P1. Can we try and close that? Coming through the S section, we're already down to 5.6, 5.7 seconds. And now it's back up to 5.9 actually, so I don't know what. Now it's up to 6, so yeah, let's just ignore that. But my key now, or the key thing I'm thinking about, can we create a gap to Charles Leclerc, which we have done already? Leclerc 1 second behind. If we can get Leclerc out of DRS range, that would be absolutely massive, because then he will hold up the Mercedes behind him. Sergio Perez in the other Red Bull down in P6, he will hold him up. The two McLarens, who obviously, Lando Norris down in P7, he was on pole position. What the hell happened to Lando? I do not know. Crucially, boys, we get a little message off Jeff here saying, do you want to change the strategy? At the minute, we're running the soft, medium, soft 2-stop strategy. But he said, do you want to change it to a 1-stop where we come in for medium tyres on lap 15 of the race? I decided to keep the current strategy, the 2-stop, but in the back of my mind I was thinking, right, if I want to go for a 1-stop, it's going to be lap 15 to come in for the mediums. I remember that lap in my head, and obviously I'm going to just monitor the tyre wear and see if we can push for a 1-stop. A 1-stop will obviously be massive and very beneficial compared to running a 2-stop. As you can see, on lap 10, the lap we were supposed to pit, there's a blue line telling us to come into the pit. Max Verstappen is in the pits, and we actually stay out. I wanted to overcut Verstappen no matter what. I was going to do the opposite of what Verstappen did. If he stayed out, I would have stayed out for the 1-stop, but he's pit, so he will be on a 2-stop strategy depending on what tyres he comes out on here, whether it's hards or another set of softs. We'll have to find out. But like I say, Verstappen pit, so I stayed out. That was the plan. You know, we had 5 seconds or something to make up on Verstappen. I had to try something. I definitely wasn't going to make up that gap just in pure racing, I don't think. Here's lap 12. You can see Bottas in the pits, Alonso in the pits. Max Verstappen comes back onto our screen in the top left, and Verstappen is going to be on soft tyres. So Verstappen on the 2-stop strategy, there's no way he's going to go 24 laps on that set of soft tyres. So Verstappen definitely running a 2-stop strategy. That is huge. Here's Sebastian Vettel just coming out of the pits. He's got one of the Haas cars behind him. I think it's Nikita Mazepin, and he's stuck in 3rd gear, as you've just seen there. Must be gearbox issues for the Aston Martin of Sebastian Vettel, but then he finally gets it working, and then he just hits the brakes and lets a McLaren and a Haas go past him. He actually picked up a 5-second penalty for that. I don't know why, that seems harsh, but you can see there at the end of lap 13, I just checked the tyre wear. We're looking at 40% wear on these tyres, so the tyre is definitely dead and falling off. Perez in P2 catching up to us. Verstappen 6.7 behind. Obviously, that means if we pit now, we'll come out about 13 seconds behind Verstappen. There goes Perez into the pits though. Dan Tickton giving us a bit of slipstream down the main straight as we overtake him and lap Dan Tickton on lap 14 of the race. Perez coming out of the pits though on hard tyres, so that means Perez is definitely going to be the 1-stop strategy. It looks like Perez is going to be going to the end on this set of hard tyres. But of course, we are going for a one-stop as well on the next lap. As you can see, we come into the pits now, but we're going for medium tyres, so our medium should be faster than his hards, so our one-stop should be superior to his. And he was a bit behind us anyway, so I don't think Perez will be a threat, but you can never count out the Red Bulls. You see, we checked the tyres there, 47% wear on the front left, about 45 and 43% on the other tyres. It was just good tyre management from me. You know, I realised if I do want to go for this one stop, I can't be pushing every lap to try and get fastest lap. I have to try and conserve the tyres a little to try and prolong the life of that first stint. And we managed to do it perfectly, and we come out to the pits, boys, in P2, ahead of Leclerc and Hamilton behind. Hamilton, Ricciardo and Leclerc, the 3 cars behind us on soft tyres. They have to box again. There's no way they can go 20 laps on soft tyres. Verstappen in front, there's no way he can go 20 laps on soft tyres, boys.
It looks like we might have an issue. Hang in there, we're attempting to manage it.
And that is not what we like to hear from Jeff. There might be an issue with the car, but I'm thinking surely not, surely not. We've had our fair share of bad luck this season already. As it stands, boys, we are going to win this race. Verstappen still has to pit. There's Michael in for another stop. Verstappen still has to pit. We are on course to win this race, boys, if we just get across the line in one piece. There's 19 laps left in the race. Can we do it as we head towards Lance Stroll?
It looks critical. Find somewhere to retire as soon as possible. We can't risk you carrying on with this race. I repeat, find somewhere to retire immediately. It's too dangerous to stay on track.
And boys, I'm actually speechless. I actually have no words. It's so cruel. It's a cruel sport. You love the sport, and what does it give you back? Nothing but heartache, bro. The engine has blew up again. That's our third mechanical failure this season. We had 2 back-to-back in China and in Imola. And now we have a win stripped from our hands. Verstappen had to pit again for another set of medium tyres. Of course, he couldn't go. Well, that would have been a soft strategy, and you can't do that. You need another compound. So Verstappen had another pit stop in him. We were going to the end on those mediums. We would have won the race, boys. It would have been a race win for us because, as you can see, Verstappen actually won the race. So it definitely would have been us on the top step of that podium. And you just hate to see it, bro. You just hate to see it. Like, I thought that was the one. It was a great drive from us. That first stint, I did so well to conserve the tyres, to not lose too much time on those dead softs, because the tyres were dead, trust me, like, they were completely dead. And then I was like, yeah, all we have to do is a bit of tyre management on the mediums, but we can push still. And we would have won the race, boys. And there's Perez in P2. That is absolutely huge points for Red Bull. Lando Norris ended up on P3. He did well to recover. He was down in P7 at one point, if you do remember that. So that is huge points for obviously Red Bull there. Lando Norris picking up the fastest lap of the race, though, taking at least 1 point away from Red Bull. Our teammate Michael Schumacher down in P7, started P2 on the grid, did a 2-stop strategy, would have done a 1-stop probably if he didn't have to pit on lap 2, which is just so bizarre. Why on earth did he pit on lap 2? That's completely ruined our chances in this race. Because even if I retired, you know, Michael would have still been up there. Daniel Ricciardo up from P12, or I think it said to P4. Great race from Daniel. And yeah, Lewis Hamilton actually also retired from the race. We don't find out why, because obviously we retired. But boys, that means Perez, who was only 4 points ahead of us, is now 22 points ahead of us. And it looks like the gap to P3 is almost unattainable at this stage in the season. The gap to Red Bull in the Constructors is 52 points. It's still going to come down to the wire. Still going to come down to the last race of the season. At least we hope. Find out on Friday's episode in Brazil if we can manage to close any of these gaps. But as you can see, we've pretty much guaranteed, or I think we have guaranteed now, P2 in the Constructors. So that is going to be big money for us next season, whether we win the Constructors or finish P2. It's going to be big money. But let's check out this engine, boys. It was the MGU-H that failed on us, and I only put that in last race. Last race in USA, we put in a few new engine components. The MGU-H was one of them. We've got through the American race just fine. And then one race later, it blows up on us. Not what we like to see. Our control electronics at the bottom there, very worn, 63% wear. It would be a 5-place grid penalty if we were to get a third component. And with only 2 races left in the season, I think we might just risk it. And you know, with this Ferrari power unit, I don't trust it, boys. I don't trust it. Even getting a brand new component that you've just seen there, that MGU-H was 1 race old, and it's blew up on us. Ferrari, it's been a good 2 seasons, but next season we are definitely not having this Ferrari power unit in the car. Absolutely not. You know, 3 retirements in 1 season. Admittedly, we was only on for 1 point in China, but in Imola, we were on for a podium, depending on the strategy. And in Mexico, then we were on for a race win. So that's huge points taken away from the team, all because of engine failure. It's not good enough. Not good enough. So next season, we will have a different engine supplier. Find out in Brazil on Friday if we can do any better than a retirement. Can we finish higher than P22? Find out on Friday. If you did enjoy, like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'll catch us next time. Take it easy.